prop this up because the sun is intense. There we go.
Comfy. What am I looking at? What is this? We got B over here, A on the
I just
right?
started over here. Well, we're going to pause.
We're going right to left?
I just started over here. It doesn't matter. They're numbered. We're just going to pause between each point. It'll be fine. And we'll find the next one. But right now, we're just making the announcement.
Countdowns, B to A. I mean, yeah, are you
People
dyslexic?
like countdowns. I got a message on Instagram saying, I agree with you. Countdowns are better. But we're not doing a countdown today. It's just numbers so we know what order to talk about it in. Stop laughing at me.
6, 12, 7.
Exactly. I wrote them all down and then ordered them.
You didn't say that. Okay. All right.
Hey guys.
Hello.
I don't know if you saw our last video, but there was some big news at the end of it.
Yeah, that's right. So we have decided to sell the bus. It's a pretty big deal for us. Obviously, it's going to be a big life change, but we're doing it not because we're tired of this lifestyle or that we're tired of the bus or anything like that. We're selling it because we want this lifestyle more, and we want to do it a lot more.
We want it harder and faster and more.
So we are selling the bus, and we will be buying a van in order to convert it ourselves and all that good stuff.
So that's the plan, and the title of this video is why we're making that change, why we're selling the bus and trading bus life for van life. And I know it's going to surprise a few people if this is the first you're hearing of it, but we want to try to dive into those reasons. We've been thinking about this for a long time, and we have a lot of reasons that we think a van might work better for us. It's also going to have its drawbacks, but we're going to try to get into it.
Yeah, so there it is. Here we go. So first reason why we are selling the bus in order to convert a van is that we want to travel more and faster. Now, don't get us wrong. The bus has taken us really far. It's taken us to a lot of new places that we've never been to, and it's done it with a smile on its face. We haven't had a single issue with it. It's been fantastic. But its top speed is 55 miles an hour, and we're good. We've been good with that speed so far and that really slow pace of travel, but we would like the option to move just a little bit faster, drive through the night, and go, from one corner of the country to a fairly decent place further away, and we want to be able to do that in a couple days if we really, really felt like it.
If we want to. It's not that we haven't enjoyed this slow pace of travel, but we want to have more of an option to be more spontaneous. To, if there's a business opportunity or something, we want to feel like we can get there and be flexible.
Which has happened before. During this past year, we've had the opportunity to be certain places, and we were just a little bit past, how do I say it? It was just a little bit further and would take us a little bit too long for us to comfortably move there, and so I would end up having to fly or something like that. So it's one of the first things that we noticed is that in the places that we have the potential to be, it would be nice to get there a little bit faster, or have the option to get there faster. So that's number one.
Another reason is we're excited about having a smaller vehicle that is going to be easier to get into cities. We don't want to spend a lot of time in cities, but something that we found is sometimes we don't have good service, or we run out of data, and we're driving in the Subaru into town to get Wi-Fi. And when we're doing that, we have to go into the establishment and spend money to use that Wi-Fi. Well, I think it'd be pretty cool to be able to park our house in the parking lot sometimes and mooch Wi-Fi sometimes without having to buy anything.
At least having the option, and we want to patronize certain businesses that provide that Wi-Fi. We don't want to just mooch, but we may go in, get a meal, and then leave, and then take advantage of that Wi-Fi, or public free Wi-Fi, or whatever it is.
Yeah, and be able to, for example, sometimes we buy a single cup of coffee somewhere and then stay there 5 hours working, which can feel
not
a little...
very often.
No,
typically not there that long.
But sometimes we buy something and then we stay there a really long time. It would be cool to have our workspace how we want it in the van. Maybe we still go get a coffee, but maybe we like stay there for 8 hours and
You just have the option to do so. And especially with video content, I work with medium format camera systems a lot, and those are really big files. And so if I have to send a file to someone or upload a video or whatever it may be, I mean, that's big data, and it can, our data can run out kind of fast if it's a busy month for that kind of work. So having the ability to just real quickly run in to town, pick up a Wi-Fi signal, and then come back would be pretty great.
Or
and
even,
especially, go ahead.
Or even just better cell service.
Yeah,
Sometimes
sure.
not even
Sometimes it's
Wi-Fi.
about cell service. But what's nice, so in the bus we have a Wi-Fi booster, and it's been fantastic on a couple occasions. Because though that we're out in the boondocks so much, we're boondocking, there's not a ton of Wi-Fi signals around, so it doesn't get a whole lot of use. Our cell boost signal gets way more use, and so we're going to have one of those in the van too. But when we put our Wi-Fi booster in the van, we'll be able to take advantage of that much, much better than we do in the bus. Because we just don't take the bus around places that have free Wi-Fi very often. That's by design. It's good to have the option with the van.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So another reason, and this is a big one, we love this bus, and like we said, it's outperformed our expectations. It's been great. But it is 20 years old. It's 20 plus years old. It's in 1998. We're excited to have a newer vehicle that has things like warning lights and a backup camera and more comfortable driving experience, and airbags and air conditioning and heating in transit. Well, we have heating in transit, but air conditioning in transit and stuff, and we're excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, we want to push the bus, or changing our vernacular has been kind of weird. We want to be able to push the van pretty hard. After a year of full-time travel and kind of going at a fairly leisurely pace, we've loved that. But I think in 2020, we've realized that we would like to be able to move a lot faster if we wanted to. And I think we do want to do that. And so we want to be able to push it. And if that means driving 8 hours a day for 2-3 days in a row, we want to feel good about that. If that's going up a really, really steep incline or going over like some pretty gnarly mountain passes, we want to feel confident that we can do that without, just putting a 20-year-old diesel through all that. Mm-hmm. Again, this past year, she's done everything we've asked her to and more, and with a smile on her face. But we just want to have a little bit of a higher ceiling as far as performance goes.
Yeah. So the next one is actually another pretty big reason that we're making this switch. We think that in the van, it'll be a little bit easier to have more control over the temperature. Yep. One, it's not going to have we love all these beautiful windows. We love all this light, and I know we're going to miss it. But it's also going to be a lot easier to insulate because we're not going to have all those windows. Yeah,
the windows, I mean, we lose a lot of heat and cool air through the windows. There are a couple air gaps that we elected to keep the windows in and just deal with that. And so that there is a draft occasionally, and you really only notice it in drastic weather, like really cold or really hot. Mm-hmm. But having a vehicle that's newer, that's hasn't had 20 years of going over bumpy roads and all that good stuff, it's going to be a lot easier to insulate, and we'll have more control over temperature, heating and cooling the bus inside, but also being able to go up and actually increase altitude in order to use that as an air conditioner.
Or altitude will be a big one, but even just being able to travel faster just totally change our environment. Maybe it's not altitude, but we're just going north or something to cool down or something.
Exactly. And this kind of goes back to an earlier reason, but for my shooting, like if I'm out shooting a landscape, sometimes I want to be out in places that are really hot in a certain time of year, because that time of year is important. I do a lot of night photography, and I really appreciate taking Milky Way time lapses. Well, Milky Way is most visible in North America in the summer. Some of the best places to view it are out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. Mm-hmm. Desert's hot in the summer, so if we have the ability to run up a mountain real quick during the day, come back down at night, that's big for that exact reason. Totally. And that's a significant reason why we travel full time anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's going to solve that problem quite well.
In fact, we kind of had this realization when we were in Moab shooting Milky Way stuff. Yeah. It's 100 degrees. And honestly, that's the first time we brought up this topic. Zach was like, so what do you think? And he was saying it very carefully. What do you think about selling the bus and converting something smaller? And at first I was totally, I don't know, I was just shocked because our blood, sweat, and tears have gone into this thing, and I hadn't considered anything like that. I thought we'd be in this for 3 years minimum, but life happens, and we learn things, and we kind of learned things about the style of travel that we are after.
Yeah.
And after that point, we started talking about it more and more. And here we are.
Yeah, I mean so I think we need to make it clear that we could easily continue doing this for several years. Like, that's not the issue. It's not that we can't do it anymore or that we can't enjoy this kind of travel, but we just see an opportunity, and we want to take that opportunity, and because we don't see ourselves stopping living nomadically for
the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Like, we found that this lifestyle really suits us after we got over that initial hump.
Yeah.
And we know there's probably going to be definitely going to be a hump to get used to the van. But I think we're up for it. But anyway, I'm getting off topic.
So the next reason, we are excited to consolidate 2 vehicles into one. So we will be selling both the bus and the Subaru and replacing both of them with one van. You may have watched our video about why we drive separately. We'll throw a card up. And so, yeah, I mean, it has worked well for us in this style of travel this entire year. It has worked very well. We've enjoyed being able to drive separately. It's been safe in a lot of ways. And, having alone time is nice occasionally. But we've also realized that it's not a necessity. We don't have to do that. We just did, and it was the easiest way to go in this situation. But, the diesel engine, the dogs aren't going to care too much about. And so in a van, it's going to be way easier for them to be comfortable while we're traveling, for them specifically. And
I'll get to ride up in the front where I'm less likely to get car sick. I can take Dramamine if I need to. But we're also excited that we can take turns driving and that we will get to ride together. And that, one vehicle means less maintenance and maybe less gas. I'm not so sure about that one. But
and I think one of the biggest things that you just mentioned was the fact that we can trade off driving. So, the bus is, I will say, it's very easy to drive. I had not driven a school bus before I went and picked it up and drove it home in Longmont. Since then, and it was easy then, and it's way easier now. We've been able to maneuver it in some really tight places. It's a great, really, honestly, it's a great driving vehicle. But, Tiffany didn't, 2 years ago, Tiffany drove less than 100 miles that entire year because we work from home, and if we're going somewhere, I'm driving. It's just, I like to drive. And so she's just never had a reason to. But this past year, you've driven thousands of miles. From 0 to thousands.
Yeah. And it's been really good for me.
She's been great. It's been awesome. And I'm so excited that that's increased your confidence and everything.
Yeah. So I feel like it was a good step for me because, the idea of driving the van across the country might have intimidated me before, but now that I've had so much practice, I feel confident that we could take turns. Honestly, Zach will probably be the one driving through cities and stuff, but if we're on a Kansas highway or something, I'm all over that. And we can trade off, which will be great.
Which will be nice. So, it will be nice to ride together. There are other ways if we really need it to get alone time. It will be nice to just got
all of our...
Everything just went off all at the same time. Good grief. Jeez. Okay. Sorry. What were we talking about?
Trading off driving, but I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah, so, just being able to trade off and ride together is going to be positive for
We're
sure.
excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be able to look out the window, look around more, and maybe film some footage while he's driving and vice versa and stuff, and I think it'll be great.
And I don't think we can overstate how big of a difference that one factor will make in this transition, because our style of travel up to now has been we drive the bus to a location, we sit the bus down, and we probably aren't going to move for 2 weeks. And then we take the Subaru out to all of these different satellite trips, go into town if we need it, go grocery shopping, whatever. The bus has stayed stationary a lot of the year, ironically. But that's going to change drastically with the van, and we're aware of that. And
that has its ups and downs.
It has its positives. We're going to have to be way more organized. We don't want to be making trips into town every day. If we're going to be out camping, we need to be out camping for at least a few days to make it worth it, so that we're not just constantly driving every single day. That's going to be harder.
Yeah.
But we know that. We're aware of that. And
we're kind of excited about a different style of travel,
Yeah.
even though we know it's going to take some getting used to.
Yeah. Because I could see us in a situation where, like, when we have the bus parked, that's home base. And we're going to stay within, like, 120, 200 miles within that as far as the Subaru is concerned. Then if we need to, we want to go further than that, then we come back, put everything away in the bus, get it ready to go. It's always a full travel day. We get where we're going, we set up, and now we're here. In a van, like, let's say if we're at a certain site and then we need to do something in a city a ways away, we'll drive over there and we may stay in that city or somewhere nearby that night and then come back, or continue to move on, or we have more options and the ability to make those choices a lot easier in a van. So another reason we have written down that we've kind of already gone over was that, we do avoid really steep grades and mountain passes. We've really babied the bus because, I don't know, we just don't want to risk it. We don't want to put her through too much. But honestly, like we said before, she's done everything that we've asked her to do. And we really have babied her, and I think her performance, her ceiling for performance is probably way higher than we're giving her credit for.
I think so.
And I think that's just a habit of us. Like, when we go into something, we don't always go full on testing boundaries. Like, we're usually come in very cautiously, trying to make sure everything's within the right windows, and just we're managing our expectations as best we can. Sometimes maybe putting our expectations a bit lower than what they could be. So we're aware of that.
But the passes we have done, she's handled fine.
It takes a little while to get up there, but she does it.
Yeah, but we've avoided like 70. We haven't gone into the Colorado Rockies because, we love this bus and we don't want... I don't know. We've just been babying it
for an unnecessary repair or anything.
Yeah.
Not if that were to happen, and that's one way it could happen. But again, we've seen
people do it.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen people put their buses that are similar, and in fact, I think ours is actually a bit more suited for travel driving for travel driving.
Yeah, we've seen smaller engines further up than we have.
Yeah, we've seen DT. So we have a DT466 and an Allison MT643, and that's a really great combination, particularly for a bus this length and height. And so I think we have a higher ceiling that we're really giving ourselves credit for. But still, we want her to be healthy for a long time. So.
We think the van is going to take us to more places, maybe just a little more confidently. So.
Yeah, that's worth it.
Yeah. So the next one.
Dogs.
Okay, so the next one's a big one, and probably it was my biggest concern transitioning into bus life. Naturally, it's my biggest concern transitioning into van life. The dogs are my babies. I'm that person. I'm a crazy dog lady. We are worried about the dogs in that small of a space. Tuco is almost 80 pounds. Frankie is small but not tiny, and that's a lot of
animal.
Yeah, a lot of animal.
That takes up space.
Right.
But the reason why we think it's not going to be so bad, there are a couple of reasons. So number one, even in this big space, the dogs are pretty much always under our feet. Tuco and Frankie are right now just under our feet. They have the entire front of the bus that they could be in, sitting on a couch, on cushions. Nope, they're on the hardwood floor underneath us because they want to be as close to us as they possibly can, and this happens all the time. So really, as far as the dogs are concerned, we're already used to them being underfoot constantly. So that's one. And then another really is that, we're going to be outside far more. The van, and this is an interesting one that we didn't really see coming. So the van, I think is going to force us to use outside as part of our living space. The bus has gotten so comfortable, and we have so much space in here that we don't need to go outside. Like, we go outside when we want to, but sometimes if we're on the fence, we're like, honestly, it feels really good in here. We can see outside from our windows.
Open all the windows.
We have
you feel like you're outside.
Places to sit and be comfortable. We're like, we don't really need to be outside. Yeah, we kind of feel like we are outside. In the van, though, that extra outdoor space is a godsend, and so you got to take advantage of that. And so, it's certainly not going to just like flip a switch for us, but we will be certainly more encouraged to be outside and use the outdoors as part of our living space, which is what we wanted from the beginning, and we kind of do now, but
not as much as we thought we would.
Not as much as we thought we would.
And I think that's going to be good for us and the dogs to be outside more. As far as the dogs go, I'm also excited that because we're all going to be in one vehicle, that they're going to get to go with us so many more places than they do right now. Like, pretty often we leave them here and they're fine here, and we have to drive an hour into town to get groceries or to go do a hike. Well, now that means that they're going to be right in the parking lot of the grocery store, or say we're going to watch a game at a bar or something. They're in the parking lot. We could take turns going to check
outside and check
on them. Or a trailhead. They're right there at the trailhead while we do the hike. And it just means that they'll get to be with us more often. And I know that that's what makes their weird little hearts happy, is just being as close to us as they can. So
it might be a double-edged sword, but whatever.
Right.
But I do think it's mostly a good thing. So something else too, like, we love the outside. I think Tiffany did an amazing job painting the outside mural. We have branding everywhere, Instagram, YouTube, our rolling vistas. Like, we have all of that branded, and it's been fun. But it also
makes us stand out, maybe more than we want to.
Yeah, it's very attention grabbing, and we did it by design. The reason why we painted those things so loudly is because if we were in a stealth camping situation, or if we pulled up into a parking lot in a Home Depot or a Walmart or something, we wanted to tell people, like, this is who we are, this is what we do. We're not trying to be subversive, we're not trying to stealth, we're not trying to, like, do anything we're not supposed to. We're loud, we're proud, get used to it. Basically, that was the idea.
Yeah, look us up. We're not that weird.
We're not that weird. But we haven't really needed that. I don't think it's really... I think it's been a factor in some places, but I don't think we need it much. We just wanted to avoid suspicion by being visible, but it hasn't really been necessary. And so, and thanks to you guys, we have a growing following. We just hit 40,000 subscribers. That's huge. That's a lot of people that are familiar with us, and sometimes it would be kind of nice to blend in a little bit more. So I think in a van we have an opportunity to be just a bit more casual as far as the appearance of the vehicle goes. Yeah,
blend in a little more and have the option to stealth camp. It's not something we want to do a lot, but say we're passing through a city and, I don't know, maybe you had a meeting with somebody and we don't have time to go find a campground.
Sure.
The option to stealth camp would be really cool.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it could be valuable.
Another one is being in a shorter vehicle. It's funny, I announced on Instagram that we're doing a van instead of a bus, and I immediately had a friend reach out and say, hey, now that you're doing a van, you'll fit in our driveway, so come see us. And we're excited about the potential to driveway surf, because there's not many driveways that our bus will fit in, and if it does fit, it's not going to be level usually.
Sure.
So.
And like on the side, like, we've stayed at a friend's house where you're on the road in front of the house. But depending on an HOA or whomever, that may not be allowed. But, a van that can fit in most driveways, that's a different story. That becomes a bit more doable. So more options open up in that way. And so that might allow us to explore cities a bit more easily if we can stay in someone's driveway that are in the suburbs or something. Anyway, that's a lot, but
yeah,
more potential for those kinds of things for sure.
So another one that's kind of abstract but is definitely a factor is that, honestly, we're excited to do a new build and we're excited for the challenge. We have family members who want to help with the conversion. Learning what we have learned doing a year of bus life, we're excited to take on a new layout, new systems, and we'll make videos about like the things that we changed between converting our bus and converting our van, having learned what we have, and I think it's just going to be an exciting adventure.
Yeah, yeah, we are really excited for it. We're pumped for it. We've been, as soon as, like, right after we made the decision and we knew that we were going to do this, we've just been like smiling ear to ear and thinking about all the things that are going to change now. It's just
fun.
a fun time.
Yeah, it's fun doing all the research and looking for inspiration in other people's builds and stuff. And we're in that mode again where we're like penning all this stuff and saving all these builds and like, what if we did this and what if we did that? And it's fun.
That's a fun thing. Yeah. And we're going into it with a lot more confidence now after we've built this thing out. We can kind of see what things worked really well, what things maybe didn't work so well for us, and we can make those decisions again and 2.0. We'll
yeah, and I just want to add in there that honestly, I've been really happy overall with the decisions we made in this conversion.
It has worked.
The layout, I think, has worked really well. There's definitely a few things that I would have changed if I were to do it all over again, but it totally works. And
it does work.
We're not getting rid of the bus because something isn't working, but of course there are things that we're interested to try differently.
To see if we can take another shot at that kind of thing.
Totally. And the last one on our list for now is the biggest one for me, and that is something I realized when I was staying in Salt Lake City while Zach was in Bolivia, is that I don't feel comfortable driving the bus. At that point, I had never driven the bus. And I will say that, like, since that point, I drove it once, a total of 10 feet, not very much, but it was easier than I thought it would be. But
still don't want to,
I still just don't want to.
It's fair.
I mean, I feel bad about that, but it's intimidating to me personally. I think most people it wouldn't be, but
I mean, it's a big vehicle,
yeah.
and you could get used to it, and probably should have, but I think the van will be a lot easier for you to get used to, no doubt.
Yeah.
And, I think it's certainly far less intimidating than. Because the cockpit in the van is going to be very similar to a car. The cockpit in a bus is a bus. It's totally different, and so it's you got to kind of get over that. But like I said, though, it is an easy bus to drive if once you're confident, for sure. And it just for some people that confidence takes longer than others.
Yeah, but like it kind of occurred to me. We were in Salt Lake City, and it's in a video, so we'll put a card to that. But there was a wildfire close to the bus, and at that point I had never driven the bus, and I had the Subaru and the bus at the time, so I could have gotten me and the puppies to safety.
Yeah.
But I couldn't move the bus by myself. I would have had to find somebody to do that.
Yeah.
And that's when we decided that I needed to at least know how to do it, so he taught me. But if we were going to do this lifestyle in the bus any longer, I would need to feel comfortable taking it on at least surface streets.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah.
At least not at this point. So I'm excited about a vehicle that's going to feel more like a truck driving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, so we also want to let you guys know that we know that there are going to be drawbacks to this decision. We've been thinking about this since July, and we've really tried to look at it from every angle. And, some of the things that we think might be difficult downsizing to a van are going to be like obviously less floor space for the dogs. Dog fur is going to be more of a problem in a small space.
That might be one of the worst things that comes from this.
Honestly, like we're already thinking about things in the van that we can do to help that not be a problem, like like having curved baseboards or like a a toe kick or something, so that you don't see it as bad.
Tuco just sheds like a...
Yeah.
It's just like it's his job.
Yeah, and here I just put 1x2s and as baseboards, so there's like, that flat surface, and hair will just sit there, and then I have to clean it. So like if it was like curved, that'd be better. Not painting things white, I think, is going to be...
It looks nice, but with dogs,
it gets dirty fast.
It makes it more difficult for sure.
Yeah, thinking about fabrics and stuff. Only having one vehicle is going to be a big drawback. It has its advantages, but it certainly has its disadvantages.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned earlier, we're going to have to be more strategic and organized about like when we run our errands and stuff.
And there's it's not a good chance. It's definitely the van we get will not fit into one parking space. And so, when we do go into town, it is going to be a bit more difficult to find parking. I think we can. I think it won't be impossible, but it will take us a bit longer, probably. We may have to park further away from where we're going and walk more than we have to right now in the Subaru. But we're aware of that, and we're hoping that it's not going to be such a big deal.
It's kind of funny, like, it's going to be obviously easier than parking the bus, but harder than parking the Subaru. It's like we're like kind of splitting the difference.
That's totally right. Which is funny though, because the bus, like we've parked the bus in city parking lots before. It actually takes up 2 regular spaces
perfectly.
Just fine.
Yeah.
Like there's no like curb between them, no problem.
Yeah.
So we feel like we can do it since we've done it before. But,
your big concern is water, and I mean it's mine too.
My biggest concern is definitely water. We have one of the best things that we did in the build is give ourselves a good bit of water. We have 63 gallons of fresh water, and that gets us 2 weeks. And that's another thing entirely. Like we've been able to camp in the bus on a site without hookups, boondocking, for 2 weeks at a time.
Without moving.
That will no longer be possible in the van because we won't have as much water available to us. Now we could, I guess, if we just had a bunch of jerry cans and stuff like that. We don't necessarily want to do that. I'm still considering our water usage. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do that. And we could go with a fairly big tank. We could go with a bunch of smaller tanks. Haven't made that decision yet, but that's definitely my biggest concern is that it has been great having so much water and then a gray tank to be able to dump when we go to an RV park and we're not just running it on the ground,
which we're not going to do.
We won't be doing in the van, but we got to do something with it, and so that's my biggest thing for sure.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm less worried about, but I know is a thing, is that we're going to have less personal space, especially when it's like raining a lot. I know that the rain is going to suck in the van. If it rains for 2 or 3 days straight, that's going to be a hard thing to deal with, and it's going to be something we'll have to adjust to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and if it, after a few days we may, drive into town so that we can walk around into stores and shops and get coffee or whatever and to be able to get out of the space. That's going to be a challenge. We're aware of that. We get that. And so we'll have to see how it works out. Obviously, we don't know exactly what it's going to be like until it happens, until we're stuck in that situation. But we feel confident that we're always in close proximity with each other. We're always in close proximity with the dogs. And so, realistically, I don't think it's going to be that huge of a difference.
I don't think so either. Yeah. Another thing is, one thing that is a pro and a con is we're going to have to stow things away more often because we're going to be moving the house more often. So when we go into the build, we're going to try to make sure that everything really has a place and lives in that place so that he's asking for food.
It's too early. He's got to wait another hour before he gets lunch.
You stinker. But yeah, so like we want to make sure that everything we own has a place and that we are cleaning up after ourselves kind of as we go instead of spreading out so much.
And that's a good point, is that like we built enough storage in the bus. So here's the problem. we didn't know, like we were making final decisions about what to put in the bus and what to like toss or give away literally the day we left our house. So we didn't make storage for specific things. We made a bunch of storage and hoped all of our stuff would fit in that storage. Well, that's what we did, and it worked out. But because not every little thing has a designated spot, it kind of like one thing will exist here, we'll get it out, and then one of us will take it and put it somewhere totally different.
He's talking about me. I'm usually the one who can never find anything.
It's like playing a game. Like she's like, all right, how long is this gonna take? She's like a little mind ninja. I'm gonna put this here. We'll see how long you. I'm not bitter about it at all. But in the van, I think so. We're going to be approaching storage differently. We're going to be first looking at all of the items and devices that we have. And we're going to find and build storage specifically for those instead of building storage first and then putting all of that stuff in the storage and hoping it works out well.
Honestly, to that point, I've become a little addicted to downsizing. Yeah. Minimalism has been, I don't know, I love getting rid of stuff. So that's another thing I'm actually kind of excited about is trying to cut back stuff again.
Getting rid of your toaster really changes your life, really frees you up.
We keep, every day since we made this decision, we're like, maybe we don't need this. And we're like, trying to think about things that, we're excited to have less stuff and be more intentional with the storage of everything. And it's going to be a good thing, I think.
We did. I mean, we brought a lot of stuff that we haven't touched one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've made like 2 big thrift store donations since we started this.
Yeah, and we could probably I've got some more stuff I need to donate. We could do it again.
Yeah.
So, opposed to many people's beliefs, apparently, we've thought about the downsides. We haven't gone into this willy-nilly. There seem to be a lot of people that think that a bus has been great, but a van's too small for us, and they feel like they know that about us, even though we show about this much of who we are on YouTube. This may come as a shock, but we've thought about it a little bit, and we've analyzed what has worked this year and what hasn't worked this year, and we appreciate the concern that some of you have, and we appreciate suggestions. We appreciate. A lot of people say, oh, you should check these out. These are really good builds, or this is something you might want to consider. Those are fantastic.
That's great.
We get a lot of people telling us what to do, and it's just kind of laughable. So before you do that, save yourself the time. Don't tell us what to do. We'll make those decisions for ourselves. Thanks. Anyway, we have thought about everything, and that's not to say that we won't get blindsided by something, because that's totally possible.
Well, the truth is, you never know until you try it. But we have been thinking about we've lived in a bus for a year, and we've learned a lot from that, and we've been thinking about this specific decision since July.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it almost every day, and it's not to say that we've considered every single thing because that's impossible. Yeah. But we're excited to try it. You don't know until you try it.
And so we feel confident, and we're gonna show you guys, and if we screw up. Or if it's terrible, we'll show you. We're not above that or below that, or we're not
above. I don't know.
What I'm trying to say is we're happy to show you where we screw up when we do, and we inevitably will. But,
we're taking you on this journey with us, and
but we're excited. So let's talk about the plan. What we're anticipating doing for the rest of 2019 and the beginning of 2020. So we are selling the bus, actively selling. We're talking to a few people that are already seem pretty interested in it, which is exciting. They seem like really cool people, so we're excited to see where that ends up.
I wanted to say real quick, there is a link. There's a page on our website where you can learn more about the specs of the bus and everything, and contact us if you're interested.
Yeah, link in the description below.
If you're interested, there's contact info there. I just want to say real quick, please don't ask about the bus. I mean, you can if you want, but we probably won't be able to respond to questions about the sale of the bus on Instagram or YouTube. Please use that email.
Gotta Consolidate.
Yeah.
So if you're interested and you're serious, please just use that email address with the subject line, looking at buying the bus or something like that.
Yeah.
So as far as what's next, the van that we are looking to convert is going to be the new 2020 Ford Transit. We do want to build one out and pick it up from the factory. The new 2020s have all-wheel drive, which is huge. That's a big deal. It's the first time that Ford's offering the Transit in four-wheel drive or in all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So we're excited to take advantage of that, and not necessarily to like get into some crazy terrain, but to have more confidence on like slushy roads or wet roads and sand,
Yeah, if
stuff
we're
like that.
camped on the sand.
Have
yeah.
the option, might as well
Yeah.
take advantage. So that when we saw that, we were like, okay. We're going to get about the biggest. Right now, we're considering getting the biggest Transit we can get. So high roof extended. I don't have specs in front of me, but they're significant. They also, I read that they are going to have front swivel seats as an option to be factory installed, which we want that. We are.
We're excited about a gas engine, a
Yeah.
Ford gas engine, because we think it'll be easier to be serviced anywhere. We're excited about being able to drive faster, like we mentioned.
Yeah. The diesels. You have to go to a diesel mechanic. But as far as a Ford gasoline engine, just about anyone could work on that. So even more, which is great for the kind of camping we do, which is out in the middle of nowhere. The more availability for servicing, the better.
Our plans are to convert it this winter with family in Alabama, and we're really excited. We did this one all by ourselves, not knowing anything. That's why it took 2 years to convert, is because we were learning so much.
Yeah.
But my dad's excited to help. We have a lot of family
So
that's
are my
excited
parents,
to
yeah.
help.
Yeah.
And, everybody brings something different to the table, and more, we've done this before. So we think it's going to go a lot faster, and we're excited about
And there's
that.
no demo stage, so we don't have to take apart,
Yeah.
the interior, which took forever and was a whole lot of work. We don't have to do that, so that's a big deal. So we do think that we could get it done a lot faster.
We have big travel plans for 2020.
Yeah.
We're turning 30, and we've been talking about for a long time doing a big trip for 30, and I think that's going to be driving to Alaska.
Yeah, we want to, I think, after we break her in and she's feeling good and we're confident and all of the mechanics are good and broken in properly, yeah, we want to take her out to Alaska. I think that's going to be, we've been talking about it for a while. We thought about Iceland first, but I think we're going to do, flying to Iceland.
Yeah, we'll be
I think-
excited about the new conversion, so I think it'll be cool to drive
Yeah.
somewhere. So
So-
I'm really excited.
That'll be fun.
So finally, we want to answer this question because we know it's going to probably be the number one question. It has
we've
been
got it
so
long.
far. And why are we choosing a van over a short school bus?
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the same reasons as we're selling the bus for. Short buses tend to, there are a lot of miles on them. They tend to, they're still diesel, and so we really like the idea of a gasoline engine that can be serviced anywhere. Short buses are great. We love short buses, and we've seen some really amazing ones.
Yeah.
But we are just honestly really excited about having a new vehicle that we are, because I'll be totally upfront. I'm not mechanically inclined. I'm not good at it. I know a lot more now than I did when we first started looking into this.
Sure.
But it's still just not my wheelhouse. I don't feel confident doing a lot of stuff. And learning how to do that on a diesel is a bigger animal, even of it just all by itself. Whereas a gasoline engine that doesn't have too many, it's not that special. It's a good engine. We're looking at the EcoBoost, so it's a nice powerful engine, so we can get up those passes real quick. But I would rather learn on something like that rather than learning a diesel engine that's 20 years old, where I might not be able to put that knowledge to use much in the future. Whereas this engine, I could probably, and both of us could take that knowledge and start applying it in other places. So, I mean, those are probably the main reasons that we're not looking at short buses.
I want to say, too, that I adore Skoolie conversions. I was obviously obsessed with looking at, because you can do so much with them. They have so much charm and character. But, yeah, I think it just really boils down to the fact that after trying this for a year, we've decided that we want to do this for a long time.
Yeah.
And getting another vehicle that's probably 20 years old does not seem like the best path for us moving forward. Yeah. I'm really excited about a new vehicle that I think will take us further. So
exactly, yeah. I mean, we want to be able to do this with confidence for years and years.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
Instead of I feel like we can do that in a large enough van.
Mm-hmm. And we could probably do it in a 20-year-old short bus. But this feels, we've talked about it a lot, and this feels like the right call for us.
Yeah. Yeah, so. for our specific, mode of travel. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, that's kind of most of it.
Yeah, so to kind of tie this off, we want to say that the bus life has been amazing. It's changed our lives. And I want to say, too, that, like, this size bus, I think, was a perfect step for us.
It was.
Because we went from a 4-bedroom house into this, which at first felt tiny. And we had to get rid of so much crap to do this. But over time, it's felt massive, and it's felt like more than we need, and we're excited. I think if we had gone from a house straight to a van, we probably would have burned out. Yeah. But this was a perfect stepping stone for us.
Yeah, it was a really good middle ground that we could get used to and feel comfortable with, and then step down again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're really excited to start the transition. And, man, I don't know. It's just a lot of feelings.
Lots of feelings.
Lots of excitement, a little bit of fear, a little...
oh, yeah.
Which is, it's
Healthy.
kind of interesting to feel again, because we were terrified when we first started living in the bus. And it won't be as scary this time around, but it'll, exciting times.
Yeah. And we feel so fortunate to have gotten to experience this lifestyle.
Oh,
we know that we recognize our privilege. We recognize that our careers helped us, there's a lot of different kind of careers that can work on the road, but we know that we're lucky that our kinds of jobs like transitioned us well into this. So we recognize how fortunate we are to have gotten to live a year in this cool, like, custom, charming little cabin on wheels, and all the places we've seen. It's just been...
And she means a lot to us.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people have said it, and it's true. Like, we put literal blood, sweat, and tears into this build, and it was tough, and we won't ever forget working on her. And we won't forget this year of travel and living in it. So
we're so proud of what we've done in here with the little knowledge we had going into it. We've learned so much, so many new skills, and we're like legitimately going to be sad, super sad to see her go. Like, I might cry, but it's been great.
It's been really good. So anyway, I think that kind of ties everything off fairly well. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being interested in what we're doing. If you like this video, and if you're interested to see the van build and all of the stuff that goes with that, it'll be weird and interesting. Please do hit the subscribe button. There's a notification bell somewhere around here, so you can click on that so that you know when we release new videos. Yeah, we appreciate you guys being here. 40,000 subscribers is enormous. It's we're very proud. We're very humbled, truly, honestly, by that. And I don't know, that's just a great thing. So we appreciate you being here. We appreciate your support.
We're excited to take you along on this next chapter.
Yeah, so...
We hope you stick around.
Yeah, but if you don't,
we understand.
And we're not going to take down our Skoolie stuff. That's staying up on the channel. That's always going to be a thing. And, we'll probably refer back to it a few times. And we'll be producing more content about van life versus bus life. And, this has been like an on-paper thing. Once the rubber hits the road, things will change. And we'll have new opinions. So, look out for that. If you're kind of weighing the options between Skoolie life and bus life, or Skoolie life and van life, I just can't do it.
Like, we're going to be calling it a bus forever.
Van. If you're interested in that, you're weighing the options. Stay tuned, because we'll be telling you all that we've learned and what things have.
You did great.
You did great. Really. struggled with that one.
We hope this kind of gives you a little peek into why we're making this change. Please leave your questions below.
Yeah.
We'll answer them if we can. And if needed, we'll do another video.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for watching.
Yeah. Thank you guys. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.